Yo, what's up, guys? We got ourselves some Cowboy news in the middle of August, and it's some great news. The Cowboys have extended Quinnen Williams to a 3-year contract extension worth $105.9 million, guys, with $63.35 million guaranteed. Really solid signing by the Dallas Cowboys, guys. Great extension for the Cowboys to sign Quinnen Williams with 2 years left on his current contract, guys. To get ahead of this deal early, the Cowboys are going to be saving themselves $10 to $13 million. So it's a really spectacular move by the Dallas Cowboys. Williams had signed an extension with the New York Jets in 2023, a 4-year, $96 million extension. So now you add the 3 years on top of it all now, guys, and it gives the Cowboys basically a 5-year deal at $153 million with 0.4 guaranteed, guys. So it's a really solid move for the Cowboys. Quinnen Williams obviously trading a draft pick from a part of the Micah Parsons trade. I think it's a solid move by the Cowboys. Quinnen Williams is one of the best defensive tackles in football. Did a hell of a job when the Cowboys acquired him in November at the trade deadline last year. As we recall, the Cowboys had those 2 fantastic wins against the Philadelphia Eagles where they came back down from 21-0. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs even though they didn't have a great year last year. It was 2 impressive wins by the Cowboys. Now, of course, we know the struggles that the Dallas Cowboys had defensively last year. The Cowboys were last in defense total last year. Matt Eberflus was an absolute disaster defensively. Now, this year, as we know, things have changed a lot for the Cowboys defensively. Now, you sign Quinnen Williams to a new deal. You got Kenny Clark, of course. You drafted guys like Malachi Lawrence and Jashar Barnham. You traded for Rashawn Gary. You drafted guys like Caleb Downs. You signed guys like Colby Durant, Jalen Thompson. Of course, you got P.J. Locke and Hooker as veteran guys. You got guys like Siobhan Revell. Deron Bland had a bad year last year. You're hoping he has a bounce back year after Cowboys extended him to a massive contract last year, guys. So, you really want the Cowboys to bounce back this year defensively with Christian Parker now running the defense. We know that Christian Parker is a bright young mind, in his mid-30s, for God's sake. So this guy here is really smart, is going to have a way different defensive scheme compared to Matt Eberflus. And with a guy like Quinnen Williams, who's a veteran, of course, unfortunately, he's never played in the playoffs, but he's still one of the best defensive tackles in football, guys. He has one of the best grades in football, guys. It was like 90, 88, 89. So the last 3 years is PF grading. So if he continues to do what he does, if he has the year like he did in 22 when he had that Pro Bowl year with the Jets where he had 12 sacks, if he can do anything like he did that year with the Cowboys this upcoming season, have around 10 sacks plus, it's an absolutely fantastic move. It's now one of the highest paid defensive tackles in football, of course. It's the most guaranteed money for a defensive tackle, guys. So I understand it's a lot of money, but I think the Cowboys did a great job getting ahead of this. He's going to be making under $35 million a year, or right around that range. Jalen Carter, who just signed a massive deal himself, is going to be making $38 million a year. Well-deserved contract for him, but I feel Quinnen Williams is just as good as him. So Quinnen Williams, guys, getting this deal done. Great job by the Cowboys, and it's just absolutely refreshing that Jerry Jones got ahead of this contract. There's been really no noise this offseason, of course, with the news of George Pickens playing on the franchise tag. A lot of us fans we're obviously hoping for, a bunch of news to happen, a bunch of craziness within speculation about George Pickens maybe holding out, not signing the franchise tag. The Cowboys came out early and said he's not going to they're not going to sign him to an extension. He has to play on the tag. So everything has been calm and cool. The Cowboys have extended, guys. There's been no off-field drama. It's been absolutely refreshing and fantastic for us Cowboy fans. Things have been really positive this offseason with the acquisitions, like I mentioned before. Of course, the offense is supposed to be top 5 again, like it was last season. Like us Cowboy fans expect to do the same this year. If the Cowboys offense is anywhere near like it was last year, if the defense could be middle of the road, just around 15th in the league, man, oh man, this Cowboy team will be mightily improved. And then who knows, this team here can maybe do something in the regular season and maybe get some wins in the playoffs. Who knows, guys? Anything can happen, But there's some really good expectations this year with the Cowboys. The last 3 years have obviously been a real negative, but the acquisitions on defense, the offense coming back the same. You had 2,000-yard receivers. Dak had an MVP caliber year Ferguson had a decent year. Javonte Williams had a career year last year as a running back, got paid as well. Cowboys did a great job as well with his contract, paying him ahead of time, seeing all these guys get massive deals, of course, like Taylor and Gibbs. These guys are getting massive deals. Bijan Robinson as well. So Javonte Williams' deal looks like a steal. Quinnen Williams' deal in a few years will look like a steal because the salary cap will continue to go up. I just think this is a great deal all around for the Dallas Cowboys. You lock up a guy who's 28 years old, who's a leader on the team defensively, is a Nick Saban product, of course, played at Alabama. So this kid comes from a winning program, wants to win. Like I mentioned, never played in the playoffs with the New York Jets. So he's hungry to finally play some playoff football, guys. This is nothing but a positive move for the Dallas Cowboys and Quinnen Williams. He could have held all the leverage next year if he waited one more year, but he made his intentions clear, wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy. Jerry Jones in the front office did a good job getting ahead of this deal, guys, and no complaints from me. Let's just see now if they get George Pickens signed next year, because somebody asked Stephen Jones, does this deal, affect maybe the Pickens deal down the line? He did say yes, because signing Williams now, like I mentioned, will save about 10 to 15 million in cap room. So, of course, that could affect the Pickens contract. Of course, we all know that George Pickens is going to command at least between maybe $35 to $40 million. It's a lot of money. I don't think the Cowboys should maybe pay him more than CeeDee Lamb, if not pay him the same amount as CeeDee Lamb at $35 to $36 million, if not $34 million. But we'll see what the Cowboys have up their sleeve with George Pickens. You lock up another defensive guy in Quinnen Williams. It's a great job by the Cowboys. Training camp, guys, has obviously started. Preseason, of course, the games start. On side, the Cowboys play the Seattle Seahawks, the defending Super Bowl champions. Football's right around the corner, guys. I'm super, super excited to see what this season holds for the Dallas Cowboys, guys. Great signing by the Cowboys. Excited to see what this season holds for this football team, guys. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on the extension of Quinnen Williams, guys. So like this video, subscribe if you guys want to see more content. Go Cowboys, go as always, guys. We'll see you guys on the next episode of Cowboys Unfiltered. Ciao, guys.